The World Open is the most prestigious title you can dream of. Since, as I said, since I was a kid, that was my main objective, and of course, you have the feeling when you go to this event, it's of course there's more players because it's 64 draws. You feel like a bit. It's a bit different than other events. You feel people maybe a bit more tense. I would say, more discreet, and I feel it's a bit different, but I love the challenge, and that's what I still play for. When people tell me, "Oh, you've been world champion," it still gives me goosebumps. It's still a weird feeling. Having achieved this magnificent goal, in my career is huge. So now it's done. It's a different story. But I'm still looking for another one. It's. I always thought, not to, like, if I don't achieve it, it would be like, I would be sad maybe all my life, or I don't know how I would have lived it, really. That's maybe why I maybe put too much pressure on myself when I was playing all these years. I felt pretty tense, so yeah. Now I'm more relaxed, of course, looking for other goals, other victories, and that's maybe why, maybe I play better on the court, so yeah, it was maybe a turning point in my career and in my life. No, of course I have memories of my first World Open final, having had 5 match balls and not making it. I had like so many flashbacks from that, and bad dreams, and yeah, it was difficult to live this kind of situation, when you're like 23 years old, and you playing well, and then it comes like this. You're in a big final, and your dream is that close, you're that close to touch it, and it goes away like this. It's difficult, and luckily 10 years later, I managed to win, and maybe forget about that kind of nightmare, I still, of course, still think of it sometimes, but it's been a tough time, to try to forget this kind of thing. It was in the back of my mind, the years after, especially in the finals, I didn't. I felt too tense every time I was playing the finals in the World Open, and didn't really manage to perform. I mean, sometimes players were better than me in the final, but I thought sometimes I could have won, but didn't manage to do it, So. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and you have to try to forget, and it's difficult, when you come to a big final, the biggest of your career, and try to put the pressure that side, and think about your squash here, and just think about this and focus about this, So not easy. Of course, you need to. There's always tension, but you need to find a way to feel free when you play, in your movement, in your breathing, in your and just focus on the squash side, I was confident before going to Seattle. I was playing well, winning US Open, final of Qatar. I was in a good dynamic, I didn't have any injuries, didn't have any problem with my body. I have a good team around me, and yeah, I felt okay there, and yeah, I managed to, as I said, put the pressure away. Of course, you have a little tension, you know, it's impossible to go on the court and not feel anything, you know, but I did better, you know, than the other ones, you know. I think what happened in France, yeah, was very dramatic, and yeah, before going on court, before started the match with Luca, we were both, yeah, like touched, you know, with this the minute of silence, and yeah, for the people, you know, who, actually, I felt very sad, and but after that, I think it gave me a lot of strength for the rest of the tournament, you know, to have to do something, of course, for myself, but for France. Yeah, I remember losing that third game was against Ali in the tie break, and but you know, at 2-1 down, you know, the match is not over yet, and when we started the fourth, I started to feel, you know, that he was a little tired, and then I kept on pushing, and yeah, you just try to forget about the score. Of course, you know, if you think about it too much, you know, you can't focus on your strategy, and this is where you get maybe too tense and start doing mistakes or opening the court too much. And so yeah, just try to take these 2 minutes in between the game and to refocus, you know, breathe properly, and forget about the score. And from the first point of the fourth, you know, starting again, you know, trying to be really disciplined with my strategy, and yeah, push as hard as possible, you know, to hurt him physically. But and by the fifth game, he started to have cramps, and my work started to pay off. But yeah, it was a very difficult match, and because you know, he was young, and no fear, and playing really well, you know, no pressure for him, you know. So yeah, everything was going well and smooth for him, and so I had to find solutions, you know. It was really tough. I mean, it wasn't pleasant for me, but the first 3-4 games. But once I started to find the solutions, you know, it was like that small, but I managed to find the right path, you know, to go through it, you know. So the night before the final is never the best. Of course, I slept maybe 3 hours. You're over excited, you know, and yeah, but I felt okay the next day. You know, I did my routine. I didn't feel physically tired, so but I felt and I felt really confident. Played well in the semi-final. You know, felt better. Maybe the match I had in the quarterfinal. You know, this is. It was tough, but it helped me to maybe open my lungs, and you know, and you struggle in one match and manage to go through, you know, that difficult time, and then you feel better, you know. You try to relax, and you feel better, you know. That's how I felt, you know, in the next 2 rounds. Well, I thought that could be my day. Of course, you know, I was really confident going to the final. Well, every time I went to the final, I thought it was going to be my day, but you're never sure, you know. Anything can happen, so you don't know, you know. But I knew that this time I had so much experience, and especially playing Omar, that was his first, so I would deal probably better than him, you know. But at least I had more experience than my opponent, so it was maybe an advantage.
Well, the French general has finally done it. Omar Mossad conceding his pickup. Five attempts. Fifth time lucky for Gregory Gaultier. He's worked so hard to take this World Championship crown, and he finally does it here in Seattle.
Yeah, when the last point was done, it's just too much, you know, emotions. You know, I feel like yeah, all the pressure started to, you know, go away, and yeah, it was a lot of joy, you know, after all these years trying hard, and you know, you sacrifice, you know, most of your life to achieve this kind of goals. So you know, it's you know, a lot of time people think, you know, of course it's a lux, you know, to do what you love, to travel around the world, but we live a life that, you know, we have to be disciplined non-stop if we want to perform, and you know, having our body to manage to move properly and be fit, you know. So it's a tough sport as well. So it's really demanding on the body. So you have to you work non-stop, you know. So it's not an easy life, and especially if you want to be the best. But yeah, when you manage to win and live this kind of trophy, it's what can you say? It's just unbelievable, you know, because you work like 20 years, you know, to achieve and live this kind of moments, and it's a lot of you know, adrenaline when it suddenly comes, and it's like a big hit, you know, like it's difficult to explain, you know, and because you after what I lived for 10 years, you know, it was like a huge relief, you know. Hopefully, you know, by December I will get back to the level, you know, I'm hoping for, and I really want to do well, and that's my main goal, to win the World Open. So I still have 1 month, you know, and hopefully my form, you know, get to the peak at that time. Having been injured, you know, didn't allow me to play, you know. So early this season in September and October. So the positive, I mean, it was a negative thing to be injured, but the positive thing is that maybe, you know, I didn't play many tournaments, so I'll probably be fresh, you know. So if I win the World Open in Manchester, I don't know, I'll drink a big pint. A big pint like this.